higher television ratings, higher attendance figures. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't come courtesy of a league. It comes courtesy of the players that play in the league. And in her case, she was the most popular, which means she could have helped your bottom line, which means you should have seen that from day one and maximized it. But you didn't do it.
Stephen A. Smith is known for speaking his mind, but this time he did more than just voice an opinion. He sparked a firestorm. His sharp criticism of the WNBA's handling of Caitlyn Clark wasn't just another bold remark, it was a wake-up call. At the heart of his argument was the league's failure to fully embrace and maximize the impact of its most electrifying new star.
You didn't want to, rather. You were a bit hesitant and reluctant and resistant to it. So much so you didn't push for her to be on Team USA. So much so you had people like Cheryl Swoops who didn't even want to mention her name.
Imagine a player so dynamic, so undeniably marketable that she's filling stadiums and shattering TV ratings. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a star, she's a phenomenon, a generational talent with the power to elevate women's basketball to new heights. Yet instead of fully capitalizing on her meteoric rise, the WNBA's response has been surprisingly lukewarm. Now, fans everywhere are left asking, is this league truly serious about growing its brand?
Then are you willing to admit how stupid it was for y'all not to go all in speaking your piece to elevate Caitlyn Clark? So therefore, even more attention could have come and y'all could have reaped the benefits? Now you're going to do it anyway. And I get that, but you see my point?
But Smith didn't just highlight missed opportunities. He sounded the alarm on what's truly at stake. The WNBA is at a crucial crossroads, one that could shape its future for years to come. If the league continues to mishandle Clark's stardom, it risks squandering its greatest opportunity to expand its audience. What happens if they keep downplaying her impact? How do you justify sidelining the most marketable star to enter the league in decades?
And everybody talking about other WNBA players not being appreciated. Nobody insulted them. Nobody dismissed their contribution. We were simply saying, despite the contributions for years and years and years, a lot of people didn't care. Fair or not, until Caitlyn Clark came along.
When Stephen A. Smith speaks, it's more than just talk. It's an event that shifts the entire conversation. This time, his fiery critique put the WNBA on notice, calling out its leadership under Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and certain veteran players. His frustration was evident as he broke down how the league has failed to fully embrace Caitlyn Clark's arrival, a player whose performances have defied expectations and electrified the basketball world.
But if you went the opposite direction, it could have helped that much and facilitated you being in an even stronger position to get yours. But you didn't do it. You didn't do it. Wow.
Look at how Caitlyn Clark's historic milestones have been received, or rather ignored. She's collected prestigious accolades like Forbes 30 Under 30, SBJ Sports Person of the Year, AP Female Athlete of the Year, and Time Athlete of the Year. Beyond that, she's taken it upon herself to elevate women's sports through high-profile appearances and speaking engagements. Yet how did the WNBA respond? With silence. Instead of seizing these moments to showcase the game's surging popularity, the league barely acknowledged them, missing a prime opportunity to amplify Clark's impact. And then there's the handling of her Rookie of the Year award. While other players received grand celebrations for their achievements, Clark got nothing more than a routine phone call. No major announcement, no special recognition, just another squandered opportunity. Fans saw the difference, and they didn't. Stay quiet. Clark has done more to bring new attention to the WNBA than any player in recent history, yet the league appears reluctant to give her the spotlight she has already earned.
They decided that they were going to let her know she was Rookie of the Year with a phone call in Connecticut during a practice before a playoff game. You can't make this up.
The question now is, why? Why is the WNBA hesitating to promote the very player who could usher in a new era for the league? And more importantly, How long can they afford to keep making the same mistakes before it costs them everything? Stephen A. Smith's explosive take wasn't just another headline. It was a reality check that fans and analysts had been thinking for months. His words captured the growing frustration within the WNBA community. This wasn't just about Caitlyn Clark. It was about a bigger issue: the league's handling of its biggest stars, its lack of aggressive promotion, and its failure to fully capitalize on the momentum Clark has created. Smith made it clear, this isn't just a case of a few PR missteps. The real issue is a league that seems hesitant or even unsure about how to embrace its top-tier talent. In an era where sports are driven by marketable superstars, Caitlyn Clark is the WNBA's biggest attraction. She's breaking attendance records, pulling TV ratings that rival major men's sports, and bringing a new wave of fans to women's basketball. Yet instead of amplifying her success, the WNBA seems to be downplaying it, almost as if it's afraid to acknowledge just how much of an impact she truly has.
It elevated television ratings, it elevated attendance, and it damn sure elevated franchise value. But now, something that y'all resisted talking about, opining about, acknowledging.
And that's exactly why Stephen A. Smith's passionate critique hits so hard. The stakes couldn't be higher. The WNBA is at a pivotal moment, and fans aren't just watching from the sidelines, they're demanding more. They want a clear vision for growth, consistent messaging that celebrates the league's biggest stars, and most importantly, leadership that understands the gravity of this moment. Without these things, even the most groundbreaking stars can only do so much. If the WNBA keeps fumbling these opportunities, the risk isn't just a missed chance. It's stagnation at a time when momentum is everything. Stephen A. wasn't just criticizing, he was putting the league on notice. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a talented newcomer. She's a generational player with the power to elevate the WNBA to new heights. But for that to happen, the league must make a choice. Will it fully embrace her rise, or will it keep making the same old mistakes?
I said Caitlyn Clark, rising tide lifts all boats. As much as her presence was maximized by the WNBA, you players could have done more to assist it.
Frustration with the WNBA's leadership hit a new peak when Commissioner Cathy Engelbert took center stage on national television. Fans and players alike were hoping for a strong, decisive leader to lay out a compelling vision for the league's future. Instead, what they got was a series of vague remarks that left more questions than answers. Her recent appearances on 60 Minutes and CNBC's Power Lunch only reinforced a growing concern. There's a clear disconnect between leadership and the reality of what's happening in the league. Take her 60 Minutes interview, for example. When asked about Caitlyn Clark's unprecedented impact on the game, Engelbert had the perfect opportunity to acknowledge and celebrate one of the WNBA's most influential players. But instead, her response was dismissive. No league is ever about one player.
Notice when you're asking about Caitlyn a lot, you bring up other rookies as well.
No league's ever about one player. That player could get hurt or whatever. So I think it's just to give recognition that in sports, people watch for compelling content and rivalries. And you can't do that alone as one person.
While technically true, Engelbert's comment felt dismissive, almost as if she was deliberately downplaying Clark's significance. Fans immediately took to social media, calling out the league for failing to properly acknowledge the very player who has driven record viewership, ticket sales, and engagement. Instead of celebrating Clark's accomplishments, Engelbert's words made it seem like the league was reluctant to fully embrace the reality of her influence. The disconnect became even more glaring during her CNBC Power Lunch appearance, where she spoke about rivalries as a key driver of viewership. But instead of addressing critical concerns like player safety, officiating consistency, and fair treatment, she leaned heavily on buzzwords and marketing jargon. This lack of substance didn't sit well with fans or players, many of whom have been calling for real, tangible changes, not just PR spin. The interview only reinforced a growing perception. The league's leadership isn't fully in tune with what's actually happening on the court.
white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another.
This isn't just a perception issue. It has real consequences. While Engelbert talks about leveraging rivalries to boost ratings, players like Caitlyn Clark are facing inconsistent officiating, unnecessary physicality, and unfair treatment. Fans aren't looking for scripted drama. They want a league that prioritizes fairness, player safety, and professionalism. If these core issues aren't addressed, the WNBA risks alienating the very audience that Clark has worked so hard to bring in.
It's a balance, but certainly from a marketing dollars, but corporate partners are stepping up to endorse these players much more so than they were 5 years ago.
A prime example of this is the WNBA's officiating inconsistencies, which have become a major source of frustration for fans and analysts alike. The league's refereeing swings wildly, from overly strict to frustratingly lenient, making it difficult for players to adjust. But this isn't just about bad calls. It's a player safety issue. For a superstar like Caitlyn Clark, whose game thrives on attacking the basket and pushing the pace, this inconsistency makes her an even bigger target. One particular incident highlighted the problem perfectly. Clark was given a technical foul for accidentally hitting the ring post, a moment so absurd that it quickly went viral. Fans were quick to point out the double standard, questioning why similar moments from other players were either ignored or barely penalized. This kind of inconsistency only fuels the perception that Clark is being held to a different standard than other stars in the league.
And Caitlyn Clark gets hit with a technical. After
I got a technical for basically being mad at myself because I missed the three and then I went and hit the backboard, and he told me it was disrespectful to the game of basketball.
So, did Diana Taurasi receive the same technical foul for the exact same play? That's the burning question. Let's take a closer look.
Pass, and Diana Taurasi, they'll count the bucket.
These officiating blunders go beyond just a bad call. They expose a deeper issue within the WNBA. It's not just about missed whistles or questionable fouls. It's about the growing perception that the AOI league is more focused on optics than making meaningful improvements. Rather than addressing blatant inconsistencies in officiating, the WNBA continues to push marketable storylines, like heated rivalries, as a way to generate buzz. But fans have made it clear. They're not asking for artificial drama. They want fairness. The focus should be on the actual game, not controversies surrounding how it's being officiated.
Yeah, and the one thing as a very long-term sports fan I know is that officiating and refereeing is always at the top of a fan's list, of the media's list. Obviously, not every, they're humans.
Player safety is another area where the WNBA is dropping the ball. Caitlyn Clark's historic rookie campaign wasn't just about breaking records. It was a grueling test of endurance. Game after game, she endured excessive physical play, taking hits that often crossed the line. Fans and analysts alike have raised alarms over the number of dangerous fouls she's faced. Yet the league's response has been frustratingly lackluster. There have been no real efforts to improve officiating consistency or implement stricter safety measures to protect players from unnecessary harm. Let's break it down by comparing one of Clark's most controversial fouls to how a similar play is handled in the NBA. The difference is startling. The contrast reveals a clear double standard, highlighting just how unprepared the WNBA is to manage the increasing physicality of its growing game. This inconsistency doesn't just put players at risk, it also damages the league's credibility in the eyes of both fans and players.
Don't tell me Caitlyn Clark gets a special whistle ever again. One call was an ejection and the other was a common foul. Now, let's replay this one more damn time. Y'all can see right here. This was the exact same damn play. Look, same play, bro. Look
Bridges
at this.
the miss.
Are you
Taking the
serious?
rebound.
Right
He
here.
discarded
Boom.
LaMelo.
Great
He
play.
got crushed by Williams at
Great
half
play.
court.
Now, Grant Williams was ejected for that.
Safety remains one of the WNBA's most glaring issues, and Caitlyn Clark's historic rookie season put that problem on full display. It wasn't just about record-breaking performances. It was a relentless test of endurance. Game after game, she absorbed excessive physical play, often taking hits that clearly crossed the line. Despite growing concerns from fans and analysts, the league's response has been disappointingly weak. There have been no meaningful efforts to improve officiating consistency or enforce stricter safety measures to protect players from unnecessary harm. A direct comparison between one of Clark's most controversial fouls and a similar play in the NBA exposes a troubling double standard. The stark contrast underscores just how unprepared the WNBA is to handle the increasing physicality of its evolving game. This inconsistency not only endangers players, but also damages the league's credibility in the eyes of both players and fans.
This league could actually be that dense. Professional league, guys. We're not talking about a rec league. We're not talking about even a high school team. Nobody believes that anybody is that clueless.
This isn't just about promotional missteps. It's about the WNBA's long-term trajectory. If the league continues prioritizing surface-level marketing wins over meaningful structural improvements, it risks stagnation at a time when growth should be its top priority. Caitlyn Clark has given the WNBA a rare opportunity to reach new heights, but the real question remains: will leadership capitalize on it, or will they continue letting unresolved issues overshadow the league's full potential? Beyond marketing, the WNBA's lack of strong player advocacy has drawn increasing criticism. Rivalries and intense competition are great for engagement, but they shouldn't come at the expense of telling deeper, more meaningful stories. Clark's rise wasn't just about her dominance on the court. It was about her journey, her impact on women's basketball, and the new wave of fans she brought to the sport. The league had the perfect opportunity to align itself with that narrative, yet it failed to do so in a meaningful way.
Such an incredible moment on a global scale for our game, for our players.
It's like the fans are absolutely incredible. It's the same when we go on the road. Like there's so many people that are showing up in fever gear. It's really affecting, teams all across our league, which is a really great thing. And, really, I think we're just scratching the surface.
Clark's influence extended far beyond her own brand. Her record-setting performances didn't just elevate her status. They lifted the entire league. New fans, casual sports enthusiasts, and college basketball supporters flocked to WNBA games because of her. Her story proved that individual greatness can create ripple effects across an entire sport. So the obvious question remains: why wasn't the league prepared to embrace this shift? Her debut season showcased the heights the WNBA is capable of reaching, but the league's response to that surge in popularity exposed its glaring flaws. From the uninspired way they handled her Rookie of the Year award to Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's tone-deaf remarks in major interviews, the WNBA has repeatedly failed to fully support its stars. It leaves fans asking, why isn't the league embracing its biggest names? And why do fundamental issues like officiating and player safety remain unresolved?
We're bringing more and more fans to this league, people that have maybe never watched the WNBA before, and it kind of takes your breath away at points.
Caitlyn Clark's meteoric rise offers a clear roadmap for what the WNBA could become. A league that actively celebrates its biggest stars, listens to its players, and adapts to the demands of modern sports culture. The potential for growth is massive, but so is the risk of failure. By prioritizing fairness, player safety, and strategic innovation, the WNBA has the chance to solidify itself as a powerhouse in the sports world for generations to come. The league stands at a defining crossroads. Will it recognize the moment and evolve into the platform its players and fans have been waiting for, or will it remain stuck in a cycle of missed opportunities? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: people are watching, and they expect real change. What do you think? Let us know in the comments, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.